Mushrooms aren't made up of hemicellulose like plants, so they are not so easily extracted. They need a little bit more serious extraction technique. So when you extract a mushroom, it's better to use two separate extraction processes. A lot of people don't know what a reishi mushroom is. I have one sitting right here. I don't know if you can see it. This is, can you hear that? It's almost like
Wow.
knocking on wood,
Yeah,
right?
you can't chew
So
that.
you can't chew it. You can't grind it up and put on your spaghetti. Highly beneficial mushroom. So you want to extract that with hot water because it's a lot more fibrous at this stage.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Healthy Habit Podcast. And look who's back. We've got Gina Rivers, Host Defense National Science Educator. Gina's a community herbalist and educator with over 30 years of experience in the natural products industry. Her experience includes retail management, sales representation, herbal and nutritional education, and consultation, as well as formulating products. Gina's worked for Host Defense for the last 12 years, first as a representative, and in the last 7 years as an educator and product formulator. She travels extensively to educate the public, retailers, and practitioners across the U.S. Gina was in episode 51 here of the Healthy Habit Podcast. So welcome back to the show, Gina. How we doing?
Oh, just great today. Thank you, Dr. Dayon,
Doing
for
great.
having me.
Well,
Yeah.
thanks again for taking the time to come on, Gina. Any updates with Host Defense since the last time we talked, or any news on your end before we dive into the interview?
We've got some cool new things coming down the pike that I can't talk about just
Okay.
yet. I would get in trouble. But really, we're just having an amazing summer overall. It seems like the popularity and the consciousness of mushrooms has exploded throughout the world. And we are just seeing so much interest in our products in general, specifically our lion's mane products. People are really just loving those. We've seen a huge surge lately on people picking those up. So that's probably the newest news anyway.
An important takeaway from episode 51 was, I remember you were saying the difference between not calling them medicinal mushrooms, and then you mentioned like functional mushrooms
Sure.
versus edible mushrooms. Can you quickly differentiate that? Because that's kind of going to set the stage for what we're discussing.
Oh, this will be fun. Well, some edible mushrooms are functional mushrooms. And so
Got it.
functional means it's having more than just a nutritional impact on you. Mushrooms are good for you. I mean,
Yeah.
any kind of edible mushroom is going to give you vitamins B and micronutrients, macronutrients, potassium, iron, zinc, phosphorus. They're little powerhouses of nutrition. However, some of your edible mushrooms go above and beyond just nourishing you. They have a beautiful interplay with our immune system. They become prebiotic for our probiotic microbiome. Some of them impact our neurological system in a beneficial way, our cardiovascular system in a beneficial way, our epithelial cells in a beneficial way. So depending on what mushroom you're talking about, all edible mushrooms are functional. However, not all functional mushrooms
I
are
see.
edible. There are some that grow, they're the basidiomyocarps, and they grow very woody, dense-like structures. So an example would be like your reishi mushroom or your turkey tail mushroom. These are functional mushrooms that have been used in human history for thousands of years, yet they aren't something you would take off a tree and try to chop up and make a stir fry out of because they're too hardy, they're too woody to be edible. So if that makes sense,
Right.
all edible mushrooms are functional. All functional mushrooms are not edible.
Absolutely. And I remember you clarified that it can even be beneficial in cases of candida overgrowth, fungal overgrowth. People think, oh, I can't take mushrooms because of that. So we talked about that in episode 51. One product I want to touch on is MycoShield. This is a
Yep.
liquid flavored spray available as the peppermint, citrus, winter mist, licorice root flavors. Let's dive into MycoShield and why is there all the different flavor options? What are the differences, etc.?
Sure. Every time somebody says MycoShield, I've got to grab mine. I always have some
You have it
not
on
too
hand
far
always?
away from me. My favorite is winter mist. We have 5 different flavors. They all have the same mushrooms though. So this is an on-the-go immune supportive formula. We only make it in a liquid extract because we want it to be quickly absorbed into the throat and mouth mucosa. So it's a spray, and just like I just did, spray, swallow, all within your throat and mouth mucosa. You have immune cells. They're not just in our digestive tract. We have them in throughout the whole body.
Yeah.
And so this formula was created to wake up the immune cells that live in the throat and mouth mucosa, which, when you think about it, is a very proactive approach, because as you're going throughout your day, especially if you go to the grocery store, you go shopping, or using mass transit, or you're getting on an airplane like I do a lot, you're breathing a lot of other people's microbiomes. You're just coming into contact with a lot of different microbes out there. So this is a great way to give your body on the go immune support, where you're really making the immune cells that are the first point of contact with the outside environment more alert and aware to everything that's going on. There's 5 mushrooms, like I said, there's 5 different flavors, because everybody has different tastes, right?
Right.
So the 5 mushrooms, you have agarikon, an amazing immune mushroom all on its own, chaga, birch polypore, turkey tail, and reishi. They're all extracted when they're in the mycelial phase, and they're little powerhouses of chemicals. They're generating out just all these immune complexes. And that's when we extract these fresh, living organisms to really focus in on the immune complexes that they generate when they're in their mycelial stage. And then we're using vegan flavorings with all of these. Like I said, my favorite is winter mist. It's actually sweet birch oil flavored. We have peppermint, cinnamon. We have licorice. I love licorice because it's a water extract, and licorice is an herb all on its own that has a lot of benefits. And it's one of the benefits of licorice is that it's demulcent, meaning it really helps moisturize dry and hot type tissue states. So if you're someone that gets a little bit of a dry throat, or you do a lot of talking like I do, licorice can really come in handy at moisturizing that throat and mouth area. And then again, citrus is another one that we have. I think is very suitable for people that have more of a sensitive palate. Maybe peppermint or cinnamon may be a little too strong for them. Right. So citrus may be one that is also great digestive. You can take it after you eat, and citrus is known to help warm the digestive processes.
MycoShield is a convenient on-the-go spray. This blend includes flavor derived from the citrus fruit, this particular one. Again, there's 5 of them. Yeah. And this is really what separates Host Defense from other mushroom companies. They're made with double extracted organic mushroom mycelium, all grown right here in the U.S. Is that right?
The beautiful state of Washington, right outside of Olympia. There's a beautiful place called Sheldon, Washington. This is where our farm is and our production facilities. And we have amazing, experienced people growing all of these products for you. We're not buying this mushroom mycelium from another company. We're not importing from another country. We are making these own supplements ourselves largely, even doing the extracting process. So we're a little bit different in that we're not just a marketing company. We're not just a company that's buying wholesale ingredients and putting them together for a product. We're actually growing our mushrooms. We're USDA certified organic, Washington State Department of Agriculture certified organic. And we're collecting the tissues to grow these mushrooms. So we're really overseeing the process from the beginning all the way to the end. We used to say from spore to store, which is sort of cute, but that's how much control we have over the process. But it allows us to really provide a quality end product.
That might have to be the title of today's episode, From Spore to Store by Gina Rivers. So how did you narrow it down to those 5 in particular in the MycoShield? You said there's the birch polypore, there's the agaricus, chaga, and then the other 2?
Agarikon, chaga, reishi, turkey tail, and birch polypore. And The reason is because these mushrooms have a lot of literature. Some of them have more than others
Sure.
on their ability to impact our immune cells in a very beneficial and balanced way. When we impact our immune system, we never want to stimulate all of our immune cells at one time. We used to talk about stimulating the immune system, stimulating the immune system. That's really not a good idea. If you stimulate the immune system too much, it can go into hyperdrive, and you can have
Good point.
some horrible things happen. Autoimmunity is an example of a stimulated immune system. A cytokine storm, that is an example of a stimulated immune system. So now we talk a lot more about immunomodulation. We want a balanced immune system that's operating within an acceptable bandwidth. And we want our immune system to be nimble. We want our immune system to react very quickly and then have the ability to come back down to a watchful waiting state. And so we selected these 5 mushrooms because of certain immune complexes that they generate that have a beneficial modulatory impact on our immune cells.
Amazing. And the theme this time of the year here on the Healthy Habit Podcast has been back to school, for children. Is this something that parents can sneak into the lunchbox for the kids?
I have now lunchbox. I don't know, because every school has their rules about bringing supplements or things to school. Okay. But I do have a friend that keeps 2 bottles of the citrus MycoShield in the back pockets of her Jeep, and so when they get in the back seat, the kids just reach for their MycoShield and spray it. Before they go to school, they do the 3 sprays. These are well tolerated. We don't put instructions for children on the labels. We don't have safety and efficacy data. So it's one of those regulatory things where you really need that to be able to give serving sizes for children. And we just don't have that. Now, traditionally, we've never seen there be a contraindication with children in using these very well tolerated substances. But again, that's why you're not going to see like a child serving size listed on the label. But as far as using these amazing substances with kids, I think there's people across the nation that already do this.
Right. That's another place where there's a lot of disease and little pathogens floating around, kids, and right.
My colleague calls them little pathogen vectors or something. But they are because they're developing their own immunity. So This is all a process of them becoming immunocompetent adults. Unfortunately, when you're an adult around a developing immune system, you're exposed to all kinds of fun, nifty things that they come into contact with.
And a few moments ago, we talked about double extraction. Can you explain that versus single extraction?
Sure,
what's the difference here?
Absolutely. And this is where it's really key to realize that mushrooms and plants are completely different kingdoms. They are not the same. They have different cell wall structures. They're made up of different things. So as an herbalist, I was taught how to mix what's called a menstruum, which is usually a mixture of alcohol and water that's specific to the herb or the plant that you're wanting to extract. If you're extracting tough woody bark, you want a higher alcohol content. If you're extracting, flat like leaves, you want a lower. That's typical. Mushrooms aren't made up of hemicellulose like plants, so they are not so easily extracted. They need a little bit more serious extraction technique. So when you extract a mushroom, it's better to use 2 separate extraction processes. First, extract with fat-soluble compound, such as organic alcohol, because that's going to extract nutrients like terpenoids and lipids and sterols. And these are all wonderful things you want in the end product. And then you definitely want to do a water extraction as well. And that water extraction is going to extract your polysaccharides, your water-soluble compounds. So when you combine the end product, it's more of a solution than a tincture. And so your mushroom products are typically always double extracted if the manufacturer knows what they're doing. And if you're extracting different parts of the mushroom like we do, they can be double and triple extracted. So we use, when we're extracting the living mycelium like we do for MycoShield, we're using tepid water. We're not using hot water because a lot of those immune complexes can be heat sensitive. So we want to extract them in their most natural state possible. We use tepid, triple filtered, submicron filtered water to extract that part.
Wow.
When you're trying to extract a fruiting body that is a lot harder, such as a lot of people don't know what a reishi mushroom is. I have one sitting right here. I don't know if you can see it.
Mm-hmm.
This is, can you hear that? It's almost like
Wow.
knocking on wood,
Yeah, you
right?
can't chew
So
that.
you can't chew it. You can't grind it up and put on your spaghetti. Highly beneficial mushroom. So you want to extract that with hot water because it's a lot more fibrous at this stage. And the hot water does a much better job of getting down into the cell walls and extracting the nutrients out.
Amazing. That's huge. That might be the first time someone's actually brought the mushroom here, a reishi mushroom on the show here. So that's amazing. One more time. I want to flash that on there.
This is a reishi.
That's reishi, folks. They call that.
Ganoderma lucidum sensulatu. We grow this in our grow room.
Wow.
I
It's incredible.
I'm surrounded by mushroom fruiting bodies. I just think they're beautiful. so, so I do. I sort of have them anywhere I can put. I can just grab one to demonstrate. But I do usually travel and teach with these because it's a good illustration how mushroom cell walls are a lot different in structure than plant cell walls typically.
So you mentioned the word fruiting body there for a second. A lot of people think that's the only active part of the mushroom. What other, there's the mycelium, there's the fruiting bodies. Tell us a little bit about these different parts of the mushroom. Like, is it that part that you just showed there that's ground up and used, or what? Tell us about this.
This is a huge discussion out there right now. And it's one that we love being a part of because we have truly been pioneers in the use of mycelium, mushroom mycelium in our products. And there's several reasons for that. Are we anti-fruit body? Oh, absolutely not. We use fruit bodies as well. Now, as I mentioned, this is a very tough, fibrous, functional mushroom. It's not an edible mushroom, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't grind this up and put. So most people, when they're making a supplement from this, will extract it in some way. Hot water is traditional, but some people now are using hot water and alcohol because they realize they're getting a fuller fingerprint. And then they will spray that back on a carrier and put that into a capsule. And so people think they're taking a fruiting body capsule, and really what they're taking is something like microcrystalline cellulose or hemicellulose, some carrier that has had an extract sprayed back on it. And that's so it's bioavailable to the human body. Unfortunately, you're also getting a filler in that capsule. So we've had the philosophy at Host Defense, we don't use fillers, we don't use excipients. And we have observed and documented and published on the activity of mushroom mycelium. So we use mycelium for all of our products. This is actually made from mycelium. It's just a lot tougher and denser in structure. So we're using the organism when it's in its more root-like stage, when it's the most metabolically active, when it is generating compounds that are largely not found in this,
right?
And on top of all the compounds that are found in this. And we are utilizing that in host defense supplements because it is the most active stage of the mushroom's life cycle.
Fascinating. Folks, we're talking with Gina Rivers here of Host Defense Mushrooms, the National Science Educator, and she's been, as I mentioned in the intro, with 12 years she's been with Host Defense. That's amazing, by the way. That's a long time to be with one company. So what keeps you going there with Host Defense? We mentioned a little bit about like the double extraction process. It's all organic. What else do you really love about Host Defense Mushrooms? Maybe some benefits for customers. I'm sure that's part of it. How well people respond to the products, right?
It is amazing the testimonials you get. Testimonials, they're not peer-reviewed, published science.
Right.
We have that on our products as well. But the testimonials as I'm out traveling the nation and teaching and people just telling me, different scenarios of how host defense products have made such a beneficial impact in their life in many different ways. That's a lot that can keep a person going. Using these products in my own practice and my own life with my own loved ones and seeing the impact that they have, that is inspiring as well. The company is owned by Paul Stamets, who has just done such a tremendous volume of work on raising the consciousness of how mushrooms can help people, help the planet that we live on, help some of the species that we live on the planet with. He's really pioneered a lot of the science out there on mycoremediation, which is using mushrooms to clean up dirty environmental areas, and mycofiltration, which is using mushrooms to filter dirty water. He just does so much and has done so much and is continuing to do so much. I think it serves as a constant inspiration. And of course, he has his own YouTube channel if anybody wants to see what he's up to nowadays.
Okay, I'll try to link that below here in the description box. And are you still doing the Save the Bees initiative, or?
We still work very actively with Washington State Department of Agriculture. In fact, the initiative that we began, oh my gosh, back in 2017 now, has generated over $6 million in philanthropic donations for this initiative, which is using the same mushroom mycelium that we use for host defense supplements in a feed for bees to be immunomodulatory to them. So mushrooms are not just immunomodulatory or encourage immunomodulatory activity in humans. We're finding mushrooms encourage immunomodulatory activity in a number of different species. And this particular one, we have to be very slow with this progress because bees are considered agriculture, and there's a whole different area of regulation around that we've learned about. But we still are very active with the research. Washington State University has been able to build a whole colony collapse disorder research wing based off of this initiative. Wow. So we're really, really pleased about that.
That's incredible. Last couple minutes here talking with Gina and Host Defense Mushrooms. Yeah, it's not just you're not just getting the mushroom product, you're supporting all these different initiatives, and that's incredible. That makes sense on why you've still been with them for 12 years. So one place I want to end it is, like, why take an extract versus a capsule, or can you have a capsule with an extract in it? Clarify that a little bit for us. There's liquids, there's capsules, go ahead.
Yeah, it gets confusing. Yeah, absolutely. Great question, because the liquid extracts are made differently than the capsules and powders. In the liquid extracts, we are removing the compounds from the mushroom material itself. So that's why we have to use double extraction. And then we're putting it in a liquid. A liquid is quick in, it's going to absorb in the upper aspects of the digestive system. It doesn't necessarily travel through the entire digestive tract. And that can be beneficial if someone is wanting immediate on the go immune support, like we were talking about winter mist. We're wanting that amplification or that synergistic activity of all those 5 mushrooms together to happen in the throat and mouth mucosa. But if you're taking mushrooms more for an ongoing benefit, and you want that material interacting with the 70% of the immune cells that lie within your digestive tract, along with your microbiome, a capsule or a powder may be a better consideration, because that material is not, it's moving through all the miles and miles and miles we have of digestive tract and interacting with the beautiful immune cell activity as well as microbiome activity that's happening in the digestive tract. So it really boils down to, why are you taking the mushroom material? Are you wanting more of a sustained ongoing benefit, or are you needing that immediate benefit?
Again, folks, if you're enjoying this episode, I would go back and look at episode 51 with Gina, because you talked even more in that episode on how mushrooms benefit the digestive health, right? That's one of the lesser known benefits of mushrooms. They think it's just immune support, so that's really important. Kind of an underrated, underutilized use for mushrooms is to help the GI. We won't go into it now. We're almost at the end of this one, but episode 51, folks, check that out to learn more about how mushrooms can help your digestive health. I want to finish off on mushroom coffees, like coffee alternatives. Some coffees add mushrooms into it. What are your thoughts on that? Do you like mushrooms as a coffee replacement or added into coffee?
I think it depends on how it's done and where your mushrooms.
That's why I want to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah. First and foremost, especially with mushrooms are bioaccumulators. So they're great at hyperconcentrating potential toxins or environmental pollutants into their mass, into their biomass in their fruiting body. So it's very important to always ask, where are these mushrooms grown? How are they grown? Where are they being harvested? I would say try to always choose USA grown organic mushrooms. But keep in mind, just grinding up a hard fruit body and running hot water over it, that's not the traditional
Hmm.
way that mushrooms are made or extracted. The extraction process is a low, slow process. So if you're wanting all the benefits and biological responses from incorporating mushrooms into your wellness routine, that method is probably not going to give you the results that you're looking for. If it is an extract that is sprayed back on into coffee, that's going to be more effective. We actually make a line of beverages called MycoBrews, where we're really using lion's mane as the star in that. And we have a coffee that is an instant. So we have the lion's mane mycelium fermented substrate blended with the organic mushroom or the organic coffee. And I actually travel with that because I love coffee.
Me too.
But hotel room coffee is heavily sprayed. It's
Yeah.
typically not organic. So I travel with this. It's a really easy way to get a premium coffee and the amount of lion's mane that is really beneficial to the body in one particular one's all in one product there. We also have matcha, cocoa, mocha. If you're not a coffee drinker, it's a great way to get more lion's mane in your life.
So you would agree with me then that we have way more positive research on coffee than negative, right?
I I
It's
am in
it's a,
that camp.
it's not even close. It's not even
Yeah,
close. I think
yeah.
it lowers stress, helps neurologically, helps prevent cancers, protects the liver, and so much more. Right now, you add mushrooms to that. So then, how are the micro brews crafted? Then, if you're not just grinding up that, how would that work?
We are preparing that lion's mane mycelium and fermented substrate the same way we prepare it
The
for
liquid
capsules.
tinctures and
The
capsules.
same, we
Wow,
have to label it as a food because the coffee's in there,
got
but
it.
you're really getting like 3 capsules worth of lion's mane in your matcha and your coffee varieties. So it's sort of like a regulatory thing where we have to label it as a food, but you're really getting a nice hefty functional serving size with each
Amazing,
product.
Gina. We've reached the end of our interview here today. Can you give us a little summary, a recap? Maybe what should people know about as they're shopping about in the store right now as they're listening to us?
Yeah, sure, Dr. Dayon. Um, it's a lovely idea to get more mushrooms into your life. We do want to always know where they're grown and how they're prepared. That makes us informed consumers. So it's good to be able to ask those questions. Where you're buying them should be able to tell you the answers to these questions, or the product manufacturer should be able to tell you the answer to these questions. But we are seeing overwhelming science come out that shows that mushrooms, a variety of different mushrooms, can be beneficial to your neurological system, to your overall health and well-being. So getting more into your diet's amazing. In this country, we might be a little limited on what we have as variety wise in the grocery stores.
Right.
So another alternative, of course, is to supplement with functional mushrooms. Host Defense makes a wide variety of delivery methods. So anyone that really wants more mushrooms in their daily life can find something that they like.
Perfect place to end it there. Gina Rivers, thank you for your time. As always, appreciate you coming on.
Thanks, Dr. Dayon. Have a great day.
You too.